Well, I've always been into sports. My sister and I always played sports with my dad. The first time I saw pro wrestling, I was probably 7. I saw Macho Man drop an elbow off the top rope, and I just thought it was the most magnificent thing because he had his flashy outfit on and the crowd's going crazy and the camera flashes, and it was athletic too, so I was just immediately drawn to it. And then, just being so young, if I remembered what day it was on, what channel, what time, I'd be lucky. But once I became a teenager and learned how to work a VCR and watched a lot more TV, then I saw it, and I just kept it was just probably 14, 15, I was just head first dove into it like crazy. When I first started, it was 2000. So there was a lot going on. I was working for my first shows. It was 2 shows for one promotion, and then the next week it was a completely different one. So it was really busy for a long time. And then I started to expand into the States, and it was just this whole new world of this wrestling everywhere. There are challenges crossing the border. Just depends on the day and who you get, pretty much. I think everybody on the Ontario indie scene who's gone across the border into either Buffalo or Detroit or something like that, everybody's been stopped and turned around at some point. It got to the point where we were having to wear our gear under our clothes and stuff like that. And it was the same way for the Americans coming into Canada. I remember hearing from guys saying how hard it was, and we're it's not hard to get into Canada, it's hard to get into the States. But yeah. We actually did a lot of shows, so it worked out sometimes. I was in WWE Developmental for just over 2 years, and I remember just wanting to be able to advance and be given the chance, and that didn't work out. And I came to terms with that for obvious reasons. And then when I went to TNA, I was immediately on pay-per-view. It was my first show. Right on TV, right on pay-per-view, doing house shows, traveling. It was everything that I had always wanted to do. And TNA was getting really behind starting this women's division because they had girls in managerial roles for a little while. And then I think that they realized, well, all these girls can wrestle. We have to have something specific for them. I think for us with TNA, what everybody thought was so cool was every single girl looked different. We had Kong, and we had Gail, and we had Roxy, and Salinas, and then we had Velvet Knives Beautiful People, we had Miss Jackie, and so it's just everybody had a different look, everybody had a different style, and I think it was a whole bunch of fresh new faces that everybody was really excited to see, and we worked our asses off, and I think everybody really appreciated that too.
Open hand slaps repeatedly. Oh, you heard that one.
Velvet and I knew each other before we both started in TNA. We had done a few indies together, and we just clicked when we were behind the scenes. When we would wrestle, we kind of did the same thing, we were real girly, we'd spray ourselves with glitter, lots of makeup, the hair, the whole nine. We just clicked, same sense of humor, sense of sarcasm, talk about the same things, so it was really fun to hang out. And we noticed that when we were starting the Knockouts division, everybody was their own singular character. It was one person doing their own thing. And we were well, let's do something different. Why don't we try doing some kind of a tag team? Let's see what we can do with that. So I remember we talked to Vince Russo about that, and they were all on board with it. And then he came up with the name The Beautiful People, and literally just gave us the ball and let us run with it.
JB, this division desperately needs a makeover. And you're looking at the only 2 women who can do it. Holler!
It came so easily for us to do that and be those characters, and that was something that was kind of hot then with Mean Girls, Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie were doing The Simple Life. It was all kind of a mishmash of all those things.
We specifically want blue M&Ms, okay? Not yellow, okay? Not green, okay? Not orange.
Blue.
Yeah, you're trying to catch them. It's very
trying to catch them like a dog.
Blue, it's not that hard.
Beautiful people. It's nice to meet you.
I think that everybody could tell, it was very believable, and it was entertaining too. It was funny, and then we would still get in the ring and work our butts off. So it was a really good mash of the best of both worlds.
Just because we're pretty, just because we have big, beautiful boobs and beautiful bodies and we're to die for, doesn't mean we're not prepared.
That's right.
Doesn't mean we don't strategize. Doesn't mean we don't have a plan.
I want to say 2008, 2009 was our really hot time with that. The first time I won the Knockouts title. It was a 3-way match. It was at Lockdown 2009 in Philly. It was myself versus Awesome Kong versus Taylor Wilde. and we were in a steel cage. And Raisha Saeed was with Kong, Velvet was on the outside, Raisha Saeed was on the outside.
And now, here is the giant swing.
And look at what Angelina does, but now the two of them go right after and do a little teamwork. It's the brains of Angelina Love that's going to win this matchup here. Look at this.
What are they doing?
Now they gotta stop her.
I started tying Kong's hair to the cage, and Velvet was helping me from the outside, so we were just trying to like incapacitate her.
They're taking the braids, the hair of Awesome Kong.
And tying it up.
And then I turned around into Taylor Wilde giving me a crossbody off the top, and all I remember was just seeing like her hips and midsection just right here, and then I was out.
Taylor Wilde's up high.
Here she comes.
Oh.
Crossbody could be a new champ. 2. No, only 2. You can see how dazed she is as Taylor Wilde tries to continue the beat down here.
Absolutely. I mean, she is just going on sheer willpower here.
And I remember at one point coming to and just looking at the crowd, and it was just like a blur, just like a kind of like a shaking blur, and then nothing again. And then all I remember is hearing, "Pin her!"
Taylor Wilde goes over to see what's up with Kong, and Kong kicks right in the pin.
I just looked over and saw Taylor Wilde laying down, so I just rolled over and crawled on her and pinned her 1, 2, 3, and then I was kind of just like, I don't know what's going on. And I couldn't stand up, like the ref had to hold me up, and I couldn't get out of the ring either. Like once the lights went dark, I did, because I was just shaking, I was just buzzing. So like Velvet didn't really know what had happened at that point, but the ref did. So he was trying to help me out of the ring, and everybody was helping me to the back, and I ended up having like my first and only, thank goodness, major concussion. Had weeks of side effects from that after that. So, but watching it back the next day, I remember some of the guys were like, "Do you like remember this? Because like your eyes are open and you're talking," and I'm like, "Nope, I do not remember any of that at all." So it's really crazy to see yourself functioning, but you have like no recollection of this functioning. But I mean, I've had so many feuds that I just loved that brought out different pieces of me and my work in each of them. And you know, I had a last knockout standing match with Gail and did quite a few things in that match that I've never done before. Don't know if I do them again, but I like being tested and, you know, taken outside of like, you know, my little box and trying different things. So that was fun too. So working with Gail, she was already wrestling by the time I started training, probably a year or 2 more than me. She was wrestling for the AWF with Ron Hutchinson. And then she had stopped working there and she came to Squared Circle, where I trained, Tracy Brooks trained, Taylor Wilde trained, so many people trained there. And yeah, we did a lot of stuff on the indies together, but basically by the time we started rocking and rolling with that, she had her first try it with WWE and she got hired like on the spot. So she was gone for a while. And then I had got hired by Developmental. So we never really saw each other then because she was up on TV. And then I think she went to TNA and then I went to TNA. So we kind of met up again there. And then that's where we started our feud then, probably like 2008. We feuded, and then right when she finished there and went back to WWE, we just, you know, continued on with the beautiful people and running over everybody. But it's fun. It's really fun because she's super athletic. She loves to go. She's one of those people that can really bring out all different kinds of aspects of your work in the ring, and it's fun.
Representing the beautiful people, she is the defending TNA Women's Knockout Champion, Angelina Love.
There was no negative to it. To me, it was all positive. That meant that I was doing the best, and I was viewed that way. And I liked that. I liked if it was like, you have to be the leader of this, or you have to bring all these people and do that. I liked that.
Angelina from the middle rope explodes into a clothesline.
You know, we were getting like some of the highest rated segments on the show. The guys were super supportive. Like we got nothing but support from the entire roster. You know, Kurt Angle, Sting, they would watch our matches and talk to us in the back afterwards and give advice and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like such amazing moments and opportunities. And to be able to have the championship and be like, this is the girl for our locker room, go. I loved it. Loved it. It's an honor. Well, having a baby makes you think twice about like everything you do in life. Because yeah, it's not just you and being single and living a single life. You know, my husband really helped open my eyes to expanding outside of wrestling, and because anything can happen. I mean, I've been there. I have a reconstructed left knee. I've had a major concussion. Like, it can end like that. And I never had the mentality, because I've just done wrestling like my whole life. So I always knew I wanted to do other things, but I never knew the steps to take to do it, or when was right, or anything. So I just kind of stuck with what I know for a long time until, my husband like really kind of opened my eyes and pushed me and showed me. And I'm just like, oh wow. And it's like, gosh, especially as a parent, like, you have to be smarter. In the ring, absolutely, but just about everything in life. Like, it really changes your perspective on everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't really look at myself as someone who did like ridiculous, unsafe, daredevil things ever. But I mean, that's definitely not something I'm going to start now, especially now that I have a kid. So yeah, you got to be smarter about everything, honestly. I just feel like I'll know when I want to retire completely. I don't feel like that's now. I feel like we're, especially for me, like completely reinventing myself again. I kind of have done the whole heel thing, the whole babyface thing, this character, that character. I was a drugged up zombie for like a year, so I've kind of done almost everything, but there's still more. I know that there's still more for me to accomplish. And even if it's winning the Knockouts title again, I can win it in a completely different way, as a completely different Angelina Love, and if there's something else in the wrestling world or even in the real world for me to do, I definitely want to do that. But I feel like I'll know when it's time to be done, and I'll be completely fine with it.